It's all right, honey. I'm right here. It's only a dream again, David. It's only a dream. You're okay now, huh? You want to talk about it?
No. It was the same as before.
It's okay now. It's okay. I'm right here. Now, lay back down. Lay back down.
Sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. Your eggs are ready, honey.
Good, I'm starving. My hiking stick's almost finished.
It's so cold this morning.
What do you expect for November, my dear?
Well, fortunately, they said it would get a little bit warmer. There you go. You've got scrambled eggs and some of that smoked beef you like.
Good.
And you've got coffee at 1 o'clock and juice at 2 o'clock.
Great.
And we've got milk and the usual assortment of cold cereals.
What, no lobster Newburgh?
Right. Just eat your eggs. I already salted them.
Okay, thanks. Well, what do you want to do today?
Oh, I don't know, but Buddy and Wanda said they'd be here around noon.
Well, it's about 12 of 9 now, so that'll give us about 3 hours before they get here.
Look, I'm not going to argue with you. You wouldn't be able to give time checks or list times in the log.
Since we went to the lake yesterday, why don't we take a hike now? That should give us plenty of time before Buddy and Wanda get here.
Sure, that's fine by me.
Hey, didn't you say there was a grassy field down the trail a bit?
Mm-hmm.
Well, why don't we go down there and lie in the sun a while?
Oh, I'd like that. Ah, Davy, this really is a pretty place. We're on a big green hill, and we've got a lot of big green trees around us. And there's a baseball diamond out there and some picnic tables. Hey, listen, we're going to have to come out here for lunch. This is really nice. Oh, David, there's a rabbit out there. No, he just left. What you thinking about?
Jobs.
What you thinking about, jobs?
I'm wondering if I'll ever get one.
Well, sure you will.
I don't know. Sometimes I'm not so sure.
Of course you will. You just have to keep at it, that's all.
I've been at it for 5 months. Full time for 5 months.
I know you have, Davy. But look, something's going to turn up. You've got all the qualifications, haven't you? Look, you got a college degree from a good school. You've got your FCC license. You've got all that experience as a disc jockey and a station engineer. I mean, what more could they possibly want?
They want a guy that can see.
Now, David, you told me yourself there isn't anything at a radio station you couldn't do as well now as before Vietnam, right?
I know that, and you know that.
But it's getting the station manager to know it that counts.
Exactly. Kathy, you know I'm not getting turned down because I can't do the job. I'm getting turned down because I'm blind, period. Even though they always have a polite answer, I know it's because I'm blind. They never even get to whether or not I'm qualified for the job. When you've got a handicap, you're different. And when you're different, you're somehow scary. They don't know quite how to act, so they'd rather not have me around. It's just easier for them to say no than it is to say, well, we've never done this before, but we'll give it a try.
Oh, isn't that natural?
Yeah, I guess. But that's what's killing me. I can't get to first base in these job interviews because these employers can't see past their stereotypes. And because they think they can't do something without seeing it, they assume that I can't do it either.
But you can do it, and that's what's important.
Yeah, it's important. But how do you get through to these guys? I just get mad and frustrated every time I talk about it.
Well, then let's not talk about it.
Yeah, if we all ignore the problem, it'll just go away.
David, we're not going to ignore it, but we're not going to solve it today either.
Yeah, I guess you're right. But it's just that every time that hey.
What?
You hit a tickle spot, that's all. But every time that hey!
What, dear?
Oh, what, dear me. That one was no accident. Truce? Truce?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, hey! Say uncle.
Yeah.
Uncle. You mean it?
Oh, yes, yes. Oh, David, I love you so much.
And I love you too.
I love you.
I don't
know what I'd ever do without you.
You're pretty great yourself, you know.
Think so?
I know so. The last job I tried to get really didn't work out too well. But they sounded interested, so I sent in my resume and they liked it. I sent in my audition tape and they liked that. The guy even sounded encouraging over the phone. But when I went in for my personal interview, pow. I walked into that office with my long white cane and I could almost hear that man's mouth drop open. So we had a nice polite interview, and then about a week later I received my rejection notice in the mail.
He couldn't even face David with it. He had to hide behind some mailman. Well, with all those government agencies around, shouldn't there be somebody that can help you get a job?
Well, sure, they try to help, but they can't make jobs. They can't make employers hire us. Buddy, well, you probably know this, but maybe Wanda doesn't. Most of the guys that come back from Vietnam are orthopedic cases. This means that they've lost an arm or a leg or are in a wheelchair. Now, why can't a guy with an artificial leg do a desk job as well as anyone else? Or a guy in a wheelchair? Yet you should hear some of the excuses they give for not hiring them.
Like what kind of excuses? Well, for guys in wheelchairs, it's usually a physical thing, like they have to build a ramp at an entranceway.
Big deal. $20 for a ramp, and besides, they could use it when they're moving heavy equipment.
For guys on crutches, or like David, well, then that's usually something about job safety. They're afraid they're going to fall or have some kind of an accident.
Or get trampled in the Friday afternoon stampede at the time clock.
And for guys with bad arms, well, then I guess the main hang-up there is the boss has been doing the job with 2 hands, and he doesn't see how you can do it with 1. There's some jobs they can't do, but there are a lot they can do. You'd be surprised.
You know what I'd like to see?
What's that?
I'd like to see the old shoe on the other foot.
What do you mean?
Well, I'd like to see a company that only hires handicapped people. You know, wheelchair, blind, deaf, the whole bit. I'd like to see what happens when one of these employer guys comes in for a job interview. They give him the same kind of excuses that he gives us. And then the shoe would be on the other foot.
As you probably know, many employers are overlooking a sizable portion of the workforce by not considering anyone with a physical handicap.
Well, like most companies, Mr. Brown, in order to stay in business and show a profit, we have to hire the best possible workers for all our positions.
Many years ago, we discovered a lot of unused potential and some very talented people among disabled workers.
We started recruiting them and found out some other interesting facts as well.
If a disabled worker is properly placed and properly trained, he'll generally outproduce his non-disabled co-workers.
Since it's so difficult for a handicapped person to get any decent job, once he has one, it's unlikely he will job hop from one company to another.
And so the extra cost of any special training is more than offset from our savings from a low turnover rate.
That's nice, but what does that have to do with me?
Well, Mr. Brown, I'm afraid we're going to have to turn you down for this job.
But why? I meet all the qualifications.
We don't feel that you would be enough of an asset to the company for us to overlook your physical condition.
But there's nothing wrong with me. I'm in perfect shape.
That's what we've been trying to say.
Those legs don't look very efficient for going down our ramps, and building stairs is very expensive.
Since you're not blind, we'd have to install emergency lights in the halls for power failures.
If we hired too many, we'd have to start an office bowling league or put in tennis courts.
Since you're not deaf, office noises will distract you, so your output will be lower.
You'll spend half your day looking at every pretty girl that walks by.
We'll have to buy you a chair for your desk.
He won't be as careful as we are.
You'll have more accidents.
So take more coffee breaks.
Would you want your sister to marry one?
I just wish I knew what I could do about it.
Well, Dave, why don't you just consider waiting around until the job market is better? When the demand for workers is
Then
high
we'll even
enough...
hire the misfits, huh?
No, I didn't say that, Dave.
Oh, but you were thinking it.
Dave, you've got to face up to reality. There are a lot of able-bodied men who are looking for work. Now, it just makes sense that employers are going to hire these guys first.
Makes sense. How can you say that it makes sense to put a guy at the bottom of the heap just because he's got a handicap?
Dave, you've got to realize...
There are a lot of other important considerations like brains, education, personal drive, and ability.
Yes, these things are important, but you've got to realize that the physical ability...
Buddy, do you still have that bad knee?
Yeah, but what's that got to do with anything?
Look, you're not in perfect condition either, but it didn't keep you from landing a job.
That's different.
How is it different?
Because my knee doesn't affect my work. So why should it hinder me?
That's just my point. What do you think I'm applying for? A job as a fighter pilot?
David.
Okay. Okay. Look, buddy, I wouldn't even be trying to apply for this job if I didn't really believe that I could do it. And do it as well as the sighted guys they have now. It's just so much of a hassle to get any job that it just wouldn't make sense for me to go through all this to get a job I might not be able to do.
But you have to admit, there are a lot of able-bodied men out of work. Now, there's no reason why you should be put ahead of them.
I'm not saying that I should be.
What are you saying then?
I'm saying this. I'm saying that if a man can do a job, even if he has some kind of handicap, he should be given an even chance with a man who doesn't. All I'm asking for is a fighting chance to prove myself. I don't want special treatment. I've had it for months in hospitals and rehabilitation. All I want now is the opportunity to make it on my own, like everyone else. A fighting chance. That's all I'm asking for. And I can't even get that.
Do you want anything else, David?
No, I've had enough.
Do you know where the soap is?
Yeah, it's in that pile of stuff on the right side of the tent.
Well, I couldn't find it this morning. Would you help me?
Yeah.
Well, tomorrow's a big day, huh?
Yep.
Davy, I could use another marshmallow.
Man, I know you'll just knock 'em dead. With a mouth like yours, what radio station could turn you down?
Hey, stop worrying about it. Everything's gonna go fine. I've got confidence in you.
Yeah, man, all you have to do now is to get psyched up for it.
Oh, I'll be psyched, all right. I've got a method that never fails.
Yeah, what's that?
Music. Well, how do I look?
Davy, you look terrific. Oh, honey, I know you're gonna get this job today. I can just feel it.
Well, I'm going to give it the old college try, because I'm really psyched.
Oh, that's wonderful. You wanna ride downtown?
No, I'll take the bus. It's just as easy.
You knock 'em dead, Tiger.
That I will, my dear. See you later, hon.
Bye-bye.
Only 5 kilowatts during the day and 1 kilowatt between sunset and sign-up. There are only four full-time announcers here, Mr. Hanson. Only two part-timers. One of our full-timers doubles as the station's first-class engineer. Another of the guys sells time, along with me.
So, you see, Mr. Hanson, WYCO is a small station, which means we don't have the budget to support a very large staff, so generally we have very few, if any, openings. I'm sorry we can't offer you a position at this time, but we'll keep your resume on file and let you know if any jobs open up that fit your qualifications.
Excuse me, but I was told you needed a night disc jockey right now, and that's a job I can do.
I'm sorry, Mr. Hanson, but we don't have any job for you.
But if you just stop...
I'm sorry, Mr. Hanson. Now, here's your audition tape, and it's been nice talking to you.
I'm getting turned down because I'm blind. But I've been at it for 5 months. full-time for 5 months. I just get mad and frustrated every time I think about it. These employers can't see past their stereotypes. Makes sense. How can you say that it makes sense? They're just as blind as I am. How do you get through to these guys? They're just as blind as I am. You know, you're just as blind as I am.
I beg your pardon?
I said you're just as blind as I am. I might not be able to see, but at least I'm not blind to what you're doing. And I think you are. You're trying to insulate yourself from a situation just because it's unfamiliar to you.
I'm sorry,
Now,
Mr.
just a minute.
Hanson, but...
I listened to you talk all about station policy. Now I want you to hear me out.
Okay.
You are making a big mistake every time you reject a guy just because he's got a handicap. There are hundreds of handicapped people working at all kinds of jobs. Jobs you wouldn't even think of. I don't know how they get these jobs, but I can tell you how they keep them. They earn their keep, that's how. They're damn good workers. And when an employer finally gets it through his head that a disability isn't the end of the world, he finds that his disabled workers are producing as much, if not more, than his regular employees. This handicap thing just doesn't make any difference.
Now, you listen to me. I'm not turning you down for this job just because you've got a handicap. I'm turning you down because I don't think you can do the job, that's all. Look, I wouldn't care if you came in here with 2 heads as long as you could do the work.
And I'm telling you that I can do it.
Frankly, Mr. Hanson, I don't believe you could. Since we're a small station, every disc jockey has to run a combo show. No engineer. He has to announce, write his own levels, cue up his music, read commercials and announcements from the copybook, keep his log, run his own cart machine for jingles, get the weather from the airport, take remotes from the newsroom. Now, I'll admit you have a fine air voice. Your style is good. Your delivery's solid. And if we had engineered shows, I'd be glad to hire you as an announcer. But for you to run the whole thing, there's just no way.
What you mean is you don't know of any way.
All right, look, let's start with the basics. You can't see a VU meter, so you couldn't possibly run decent levels.
That's wrong. I've got an electronic unit at home that gives me an audible tone every time the signal strength hits 100% modulation, plus or minus 1/2 dB, which is more accurate than your studio meters.
Look, I'm not going to argue with you. You wouldn't be able to give time checks or list times in the log.
Look at your watch. The correct time is 2:23, right?
Oh, sure, but you know you've got to be more accurate than that. You've got to have it to the second.
For $20, a friend of mine will build me a desk clock with a minute hand and a second hand. I'll set it next to me on the control board, and my fingers will be just as accurate as your eyes are. The log, I'll do over every day before I go on the air on my Braille typewriter. I'll do the same with my ads in the other copy.
You go to all that extra trouble just to get this job?
Yes, I would.
Look, we don't have any experience with this kind of stuff. This is all too iffy. We don't have any assurance it will even work.
If you'd just give me a fighting chance, I could prove it to you.
I'm afraid that on our limited budget, we can't afford to take that chance.
All right? Look, I'll make you an offer you can't refuse. A no-risk guarantee. You let me work here for 2 months. No salary. Just let me get to learn the board and show you what I can do. At the end of 2 months, if I've proven to you that I'm as good as the other DJs, then you agree to hire me at full salary.
And if you don't?
Then I shake your hand, walk out of your life, and you've had 2 months of free labor.
I don't know. We've never done this sort of thing before.
Just give me the chance.
Well...
David, hi, honey.